Hello, it's Erin Schrader, the Rebel Herbalist. I'm so excited about this launch party. I'm so excited about this book. I've read it in PDF, but I can't wait to get it in my hands. There's something about that physical holding the book that I just can't wait for. But I write a part of the book about a plant, a tree, who I come to be in a relationship with, and hey, Kimber, and the tree rejects me. And it's such a heartbreaking experience at the time. And the tree I was talking about in the book is right behind me. This four-trunked beauty is the tree that said no to me. And I just can't tell you what a teaching that was. As humans, especially those of us who were raised in an Abrahamic tradition like Christianity or Judaism or Islam, there's a lot of language in our scripture about how humans are to have the natural world sort of submit to us. We dominate that world and suppress it and control it. And that has created a lot of programming in us about how we get to use the world. And I'm not sure our scripture writers intended for the outcome that we've had with those beliefs. But for me to go to a tree and have the tree reject my offering, you'll have to read the book for the story, was a real wake-up call for me. Like, I don't get to just take whatever I want in nature. It's not here for me to just use because I want to. Or just because I see it doesn't make it mine. Or just because I want it doesn't make it mine for the taking. And that has been, before that encounter, I think I would have believed that I didn't feel like that. And then having that encounter made me have to reckon with myself that, like, wow, there was this belief inside of me that if I see something and I'm drawn to it, that it must be meant for me, that it must be something for me to connect to. And the beings of the earth have as much sovereignty as we do. The land has sovereignty. The plants have sovereignty. They have their own life, their own work that they're doing, their own connection to the community that they live in. And we have disturbed that in really profound ways as a species on the planet. In the past 500 years especially. But, indigenous cultures, including mine, I have an indigenous Celtic heritage and indigenous Germanic heritage. And my ancient ancestors saw the natural world very similarly to the Native Americans here in North America. The trees were sentient beings. To the Celts, the trees were people. And we would come to them for guidance, for wisdom, for understanding. The Druids held oak trees to be, sort of the ancient first Druids. They came to the oak tree for teachings. And so, my ancestors understood what we have forgotten. Hey, Judy. And so I come to you now with my friends. This tree has become my friend because I understand that this tree has its own work that it's doing on this land. It's been 2 years since my story of rejection with this tree. And in those 2 years, I've come to understand that this tree is doing some really intense healing work on this land. It has actually grown roots across this little stream. Well, its roots were already there. The stream was late in coming to this land because of some deforestation and runoff issues. The birds are really chiming in on my conversation here with you guys. And so the roots are holding this land together and trying to create a bridge and a dam to hold topsoil back so that more of this hill doesn't wash away. So if you've seen my Instagram post about the Underworld, I have this sort of like cave-like picture where there are roots hanging down, sort of gnarly. That picture is of the roots of this tree. And it is an underworld feeling. Like this tree is holding this um, this energy of transformation, this energy of what is old and dying, being born into something new. It's really doing an intense work here, and it didn't have the energy for a relationship with me personally. So when I came to it asking for this connection, that is not in the realm of what this tree is up to right now. So I had to honor that, and in honoring that, I started to learn more of this story of this land. And so in the book, I also write about this concept of Wetiko, which means um, it's it's sort of the same concept as the hungry ghost in Buddhism. This taking that what isn't mine. Wetiko is a Cree word that means something like he who keeps the choicest cut of meat for himself even when he isn't hungry. And it's a mental sickness that the Cree people saw in their people for thousands of years, and they had a way of dealing with it. They described its most pathological form as cannibalism, and when the European emigration came to North America, my ancestors, they said that Native American people said everyone has this Wetiko. In their people, it was sort of quarantined. They recognized it, they dealt with it, but we were driven by it. This taking what is prized for myself, even when I already have more than enough. I will keep taking more, like the dragon on its gold hoard. That is the energy of Wetiko, and it's an energy that the Western world is embodying. And so, being in quarantine, having these imposed limits on us, having to learn to not just get whatever we want. The stores aren't full. We can't just go and get what we want. We're having to encounter limits that we haven't had to encounter for a long time. And those limits are a huge blessing because they are what we have come here to experience. Our souls are finite, infinite. Our souls are they are vast beyond our understanding. And we've come into incarnation to experience the limits, where I end, where the rest of the world begins. And all of the tension between where I end in this physical body and the rest of the world begins is what creates sensation. Our ability to feel and touch, our ability to taste and smell and see. All of that sensation is just our brain translating boundaries. The boundaries of my body, my senses, and whatever else is around me. And that's what we came here for. And it's beautiful. And we shouldn't be afraid of it. We shouldn't be afraid of our limits. We shouldn't be afraid of having to dance this dance of not being able to take anything we want, right? So it's really beautiful, the invitation that we're in right now to remember that it's okay to be a finite body housing an infinite being. Like, we can really celebrate that. We can really, we can make that really beautiful. And I think that's the time that we're in right now, is remembering how to do that. When we can love the limits, when we can understand that not everything is here for the taking, not everything is ours, that we have to be in relationship, in sacred relationship with the things that help support us in our lives, the world opens up to us in a new and profound way, because we become vast again through our interbeing, through our connection to everything else, not our possession of it. So it's like the maturation of the human species, I think. Like, we're going from this idea that we can own and hoard and acquire, and then that will rise up in that energy, and that's false and a lie, and we're figuring that out. to this like deep respect and relationship with everything else, and reverence for it. And then our relationship makes us vast again because we remember our oneness through our separateness. And it's really beautiful. All of our indigenous ancestors, whether they're Native American, whether they're European, whether they're African, they had traditions and rituals to give back to the earth in interbeing and interconnectedness. They sang to the earth. They danced upon it, believing that the percussion of their footsteps was a song and a communication with the earth itself. They gave their harvest back to the earth, good, beautiful, perfect food that they could have eaten. They gave back to the earth to feed her, recognizing that her health was their health. It's just amazing to me how much we've forgotten, but we haven't forgotten for very long. We've been on this earth for 1,000,000 years, and we've just forgotten in the past 10,000, and really forgotten in the past 5,000, and really gotten violent in the past 500. So it's not been that long. It's not going to be that hard for us to remember. We're doing it. It's exciting. I'm excited. So yeah, I hope you'll pick up the book. I write a lot more about that in the book, about our coming back to life. That's what I mean when I say we're coming back to life. We're coming back to the web of life that we never truly left. We just forgot. So I'm excited to come back to life with all of you guys. There are so many other amazing stories in this book of coming back to life. People really reclaiming their spirit, reclaiming their personal sovereignty, their soul, awakening in this body as a divine being. I hope you'll read their stories. They're just amazing. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Thank you to Kimber for organizing this, and I look forward to the unfolding of our story. It's going to have a happy ending.